And yes, I am. I am dreaming reality. Really. And I am sheltering in place. Just like the rest of you. For the most part. Day 34. And the earth is under lockdown. Really. Hi. It's good to see you again. If I could, I'm imagining you in my mind. So what am I going to talk about? Day 34. I think it's kind of obvious. We're not alone. And I believe, I feel, it's time. It's time. I can say that because I'm on day 34 of sheltering in place, isolation, under lockdown, the earth. That's a fact. I can't go anywhere. Can't go anywhere in the world pretty much. Right now, it's gonna stand still. A whole lot of uncertainty. What's coming next? Anything is possible. Anything can be coming next. Think about it. Who of you imagined this moment right now? Never. For the most part, I think the majority wasn't on their mind. Yet here it is. I just feel like my mind looking at the world as an observer. I'm also a participant, but I'm also an observer. I gotta step back. We all gotta step back from time to time and disconnect. Get another perspective. Be fair. I mean, how long are we gonna debate this? I'm gonna go back to the Tic Tac UFO. I mean, to me, that's like a cornerstone video. It's simple, short, and sweet on so many levels. You can't make it any simpler. It's not intimidating. It's a little tic-tac. And there it is for the world to see. And for some reason it wasn't enough. People, for the most part, were too concerned with other matters. other interest to notice. Now I'm bringing it up. It's not something I've talked at length at all in any conversations I have. I've maybe mentioned it in passing, but I haven't delved deeply into the message and all the other things that begin to come into place. I wholeheartedly and steadfastly adhere to the government does not know what this is. They are no different than each and every one of you as an ordinary citizen going through a day, this day, life. They have no clue what it is. They want to know. The only difference between government and the majority of the populace is that they have sat with it with an acknowledgement that it's happening. Something is here. Something. And from the get-go, they came at it with an understanding that whatever it is, whatever, it's beyond us. It's beyond us in every way. We have no control over the situation. That's just a fact. I think that there has been no invasion. I haven't seen any invasion, at least in the way that I've been indoctrinated into seeing. I don't see that. And if they're beyond us, they clearly could make that choice and choose to invade. War of the Worlds. It's not happening. Now, my previous stream of thought, I mentioned that maybe this, because you can look at that tic-tac in one of two ways. Either it is a real phenomena, and we don't know what it is, but it's there and it's outside our realm. It's external to us. Or it's concocted. It's been created. Why? Yeah. I don't like bandying that word psyop around. It's not a word I use very often, but that's your only other choice. And then as I explore into that, because I'm very aware of the government programs that are out there that people talk about, and like the Project Blue Dream. I believe that's the project that involves the holograms and projecting them. And I mean, for me, if that were the case, and I can totally understand that if you're coming at it from a certain perspective, that you could use that kind of technology, and bam, there's a Independence Day style ship, if not even more magnificent, just there. Just kind of rolls on in. And it doesn't even have to do anything. There doesn't have to be little small ships coming out of it or anything. It's just this one ship that just sits there. Minutes, hours, days, months, who knows how long. It just sits there. And if people think that well, we'll go up and check out and see what it is, that ain't happening. Why? Government. Your government will quickly step in, and that won't be happening. There won't be people flying up in hot air balloons or whatever. Again, this is all drawing on theory, a possibility. If the Tic Tac UFO, which we can already establish is a real piece of footage, it's evidence that has been put into the public's view for consideration. And it's either one of two things. Because it came from the government. That's a video footage, all the sensors on the planes that your taxpayers, U.S. taxpayers, spent on that are flying around up in the sky. And there's a Tic Tac with them. When is contact going to happen? I'm in the camp that it's already happened. It happened from the very moment the first man, the first woman opened their eyes and looked around. That's when the contact began, the conversation, the communication. And here we are now. How long has it been? When did the first man, the first woman, the first sentient life come into being? 5,000 years ago? 10,000 years ago? 5 million years ago? This intelligence, that's my go-to word to describe this. And my computer's wanting to do its thing. Intelligence. That's what it is. Simple and pure, easy. It's not complicated. Intelligence. If you try and take it any farther, you imagine physical beings. I think it starts to cloud the waters because there's just too many interpretations that can be drawn when you start to travel on that path. This is an intelligence. It's beyond physical. It exists in a whole completely new frame of mind. It does rely on choice. Everything does. Sentient. For sure. This intelligence is waiting for us. Not the other way around, which as an observer that would be the conclusion I think an observer would come to, would reach, that the masses on the whole are waiting. They're waiting for something. Instead of realizing it's here right now. Again, that video, the Tic Tac UFO, whatever you want to call it, that's it. Read between the lines. The government's never going to tell you they're real. That's not. It's not going to mean anything really. What it's going to mean is, or when it's going to mean something, is when you and I and everyone begin the conversation. There's no point otherwise for them, whatever this intelligence is, to do anything further, to do anything more. They can't. You have to open the door. I have to open the door. This is common sense. They're waiting on us, this intelligence. What are you going to do? I mean, it seems kind of trivial to be standing here right now in the midst of a lockdown, a order to shelter in place, and talk about this. Why not? Talk about it though. I got the time. You got the time. It's not like anything that I can do. Anything I do is going to change the situation. I'm not the one calling the shots, and it's that waiting, which we are very good at. I just have to wait. I think what inspires me to get up here and share is that I am tired of this world, this life that we've created from the top to the bottom. I understand it all, and I can see the moments of joy in each and every one of them, but they're all fleeting. There's nothing lasting that I feel I can hold on to that concerns me, to envision that kind of a world, that it exists right now. I mean, it is what it is. This world is what it is. So today I saw and watched a little bit of David Wilcock talking about it, that WikiLeaks has dumped it all that data, all the data. It seems like right now would be a good time to do that. It's another one of those things to take advantage of the moment. Why not? Because what we're in right now, we're never going back to the way that it was. It's not. I mean, it's going to change, clearly. It's not going to be, at least I hope, this perpetual lockdown. But once the lockdown is lifted and the conditions are eased, and a sense of normalcy comes back, it's not going to be completely the way that it was. First of all, there is so much going on, being taken advantage of by many, I think I'll just say many because that's the goal, to affect everybody, but that some of them are using this situation to be able to do things that they wanted to do, but that are hard to get past the people. But when you have something like this, and it's kind of beyond your control, like I was saying a moment ago, what can I do to change this? So these people, these minds, are taking advantage of that and using this situation to implement things that I just will say they take away some of your rights. Things that certain expectations that you feel you have as a right are being removed. Having to get a new identity, or not identity, but a ID card. Forced to have a flu shot. Ultimately, I think what's coming is being injected. You're going to be tagged, because then it doesn't get any easier to do what they want to do. And right now, in something like what's happening in the world, with this spreading and needing to know how is it spreading, where is it spreading. Well, if each and every one of us were tagged right now, they would already have a handle on that. That would have been just a press of a key. So there's those out there that will be pushing for those kinds of technologies to be implemented. If not right now, why not right now? We can use it to understand what's happening. It's good and bad to everything. It's such a strange time to be in. It's like you don't know what is. Is it this? Is it that? Could be either or. But it has to be one. Can't be the other. So yeah, all this data has been dumped. WikiLeaks is all out there. At least that's what I'm being told. He had a page and was showing, and it seems to be out there, and links to all these files, and it's going to take some time for people to be going through all that. And I'm sure there's certain areas that people will be more focused on than others. I don't know. It makes sense, because I see this all has to collapse. It does. Everything needs to be brought down in a sense to make way for what's coming. And I don't see it as the world that people think. Then again, I'm not so much focused in on the physical. I am more in this dream state that I feel is just as real as any sense of awareness and reality that any other person has. Yeah. I've been living with that thought for the good majority of my life, and I can only say that I'm glad I held on to it, because where I am right now, it's helping me to understand things that I don't think I could understand. It would drive me nuts. I would be up here doom and gloom nonstop. I would be just putting the actions of others and everyone out there on display, wanting everybody to know all these just non-stop nastiness that just goes on in the world. Because it does. Is. But I'm not. I'm here saying that your government, just not very long ago, in the span of time, allowed for the release of footage because they could have easily said, they would have known. The government knows everything. Tracking is so easy these days. Those telephones, those little computers. It's a little computer, a little microcomputer in your pocket. Brain. It's a brain. It's our attempt, a human attempt at recreating a functioning mind. Look at all that it does. Everything you've ever punched on, like keyboard, keypad, it's all recorded. It's all there. Everything you say. So the government knew. And if they did not want that film out in the public, they would have intervened. I absolutely feel that way. They would have intervened at some point and said, what do you think you're doing? Want to go to jail? Because that's what happens. You signed papers, put your old John Hancock there on the line. So the government didn't, and that film went out. And you watched, I watched. I wasn't overly impressed visually. It's a Tic Tac. Yeah. It's because you guys all have this image that's been subliminally pushed into your mind of what you should be seeing, what would make sense. Not a Tic Tac looking flying mobile. Again, that film is either one of two things. It's real, which everybody wants proof that we're not alone before they'll make the next step. So if it's real, then there's your evidence. That's your beginning point from which you can make that jumping point. And I'll keep saying it, that if that is the case and it's real, then if it's real. Yeah, I can hear all those people saying, it's not real. You've been had, man. They got to you. It worked. They're in your head. You're doing exactly what the plan calls for. PSYOP. If it's real, then we need to accept that and embrace it, like I said, as being that first initial jumping stone, that piece of evidence everybody wants in order to make the next step, and then begin a conversation. And something in me, all of me says, if we can do that's when we will begin to see them. Because then there is a reason for whatever this intelligence is to peer farther out from behind the curtain that it has been behind. Doesn't that make sense? Is that too much to ask for? Am I out of bounds? How's contact going to happen? Who are they going to come to? Is it going to be you? Going to be him? Her? Or could they come to all of us? All of us. And could they do that in an instant? The government's not going to tell you they're real. It serves no point. The only thing the government can do and should do right now, more than ever, which I feel like is trying to, I think the government has come to that realization that it needs to acknowledge at the bare minimum something's here. As of this point onward, again, that jumping point, forget about Roswell. What does that do going there right now? We have something just 2-3 years back put out into the public stream. I know it took place a few years before that, but it's still fairly current. Focus on that and put it out there, and we jump. We're not alone. We don't know what it is, but something's here. That's all government can do. I mean, do the people really look to the government for that much, or in that way, for such a meaningful answer to what this is all about? That's like a pick any one religion. You have all the different world governments, or you could pick any one religion and giving them, tasking them with being the one versus all the others. No. This is about everybody. Every single person on a human level. Not a personal, intimate, you alone. I will say yes, this intelligence can do what I just proposed of making contact with each and every one of us in an instant. Okay, let's just look at it this way. Let's step back away. We're not on the earth, we never have been, but we're a life form. Just had it in my mind. I'm trying to keep it simple. It's hard to keep something like this so simple. but it is. I constantly tell myself, keep it simple. As simple as you can. All this other stuff is just layers on top of what is already there. Maybe that thought will come back to me. There's plenty of others to occupy the time. How long have I been going here? I've been going for half an hour. That's cool. I don't want to do real long ones. I'd rather just kind of try to keep them at an hour and then be consistent. Just keep putting them out there. 1 a day, maybe 2, 3 if I'm inclined. And just keep taking small steps, little bit by little. I hope everybody is well. I don't know when this is going to come to a stop. Not that anybody does. I don't know. I just think that there's a reason why this is happening, and it has to happen. It needed to happen to get us to see things we normally wouldn't see. We wouldn't give it the time of day. The way we go about business, it just is, it works if you want to live within the confines of that way of organizing your system. But that is no reason to base that alone on why another system could not work. That relies on completely different fundamentals to keep it moving along. Money and worth, I think, are an element that there are worlds, there are moments in time where that's not how the peoples, the intelligence thrives. It doesn't work that way. They realized that what did they realize? Like I would know. I don't want to get into the money thing right now. Other than to say that I have always been, for most of my life, living with a thought that a burger flipper is worth just as much as a heart surgeon. You need a burger flipper. Somebody needs to flip the burger. Okay? They do. Just like you need somebody to perform a heart surgery. Now, if you're a heart surgeon, you get rewarded. I mean, pretty good. So why then shouldn't everybody just go and be a heart surgeon? Because then there'd be nobody flipping burgers or doing any of the other jobs that have to be filled. Somebody has to do those jobs. So why should they be looked upon as being worth less? Their time is just as important. Sure, it's different, but it's just as needed. I just think that there are minds out there that see that. They're totally on board, and they let that thought flourish, And because of it, they created a world where everyone and everything thrived. Still does. This world is not built on thriving. Not for the good of all. It's the good of self. This world is all self. Think about that. And be well. And smile.